Alright, so this is part 4. It says find the inverse of the following equations. We're going to do number 20. So I have f of x equals x plus 4 cubed minus 2. Now I call this the 4-step method when we're solving for the inverse algebraically. Step number 1 is you are going to replace f of x with y. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Y equals x plus 4 cubed minus 2. Step number 2 is you are going to switch the x and the y. So wherever you see a y, I'm going to put an x. Wherever you see an x, I'm going to put a y. Go ahead and substitute. Step number 3, I'm going to now solve for y. So I want to get y by itself. So I have x equals y plus 4 cubed minus 2. In order to get y by itself, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get x plus 2 on the left equals y plus 4 cubed. And then I want to get this guy, right? I want to get rid of a cube. So how do I get rid of a cube? I'm going to take the cube root of both sides. It's over everything here, so be very careful. So I have the cube root of x plus 2 on the left. And then right here, the cube and the cube root cancel. So I have y plus 4 on the right. Almost done. And then the last thing I'm going to do is subtract 4. So the cube root of x plus 2 minus 4. Be very careful. This minus 4 is not underneath the radical. It's on the outside. And so that equals y. And so the last step is you're going to rewrite. So you're going to replace your y with f inverse. That's function notation of the inverse. So it looks like this. F inverse of x equals the cube root of x plus 2 minus 4. And there's our final answer. So that was number 20. The other one I'm going to do with you guys is number 21. So number 21, you have g of x equals the cube root. So now we have a cube root function of x plus 1 and then plus 2 on the outside. So for number 21, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Step number 1, I'm going to replace f of x with y. Step number 2, I'm going to switch the x and the y. So wherever I see a y, I put an x. Wherever I see an x, put a y. And then I'm going to solve for y. So I need to isolate the cube root function. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I have x minus 2 equals the cube root of y plus 1. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and cube both sides because that's how you cancel a cube root. Multiplying by its inverse function. So I have x minus 2 cubed. Leave it like this, guys. Do not distribute, do not FOIL. You leave it just like that because we want it in nice graphing notation. So I have y plus 1 on the right. Almost done getting y by itself. Next step would be to subtract 1. So I have x minus 2 cubed minus 1 equals y. So this is our inverse equation. And so the last thing I need to do is make sure I put function notation. So I'm going to use the g function because our original function was g. So g inverse of x equals x minus 2 cubed minus 1. Now it's very important, guys, that you realize we know that the cube root and the cube function are inverses of each other. So it's always good to check your work. See how they gave us the cube root function and we ended up with a cube function. So that kind of checks out. Same thing with this one back here. We started with the cube function. You should end up with the cube root. So it's always good to find just little ways where you can check your answer.